lovely people? This is Straight Up with Nate, and I'm Nate. So, to get right into it, we've all dealt with situations where, we've dealt with hurt, we've dealt with frustration, we've dealt with people who have put us in a difficult situation and have left us, high and dry. We've been abandoned, and we've dealt with situations where we don't know whether we can come back from the hurt. The topic and idea I'm going to focus on is working through hurt. I'm going to have a couple of verses, I'm going to have a couple of focuses, I'm going to have a couple of ideas. But the main thing, of course, to take from it is how do we work through hurt, right? So the first point is recognizing that hurt builds you. People gonna look at me funny, people may stop tuning in, it is what it is, great. But here's the thing, hurt builds you. Whether you know it or not, hurt builds you. And I'm not saying going out looking for hurt and saying how in order for you to, become a better person, you have to go looking for hurt. No. Hurt is an unexpected factor that allows you to grow and develop through situations of difficulty. When we're talking about hurt, first verse that comes to mind is Romans chapter 3, verse 3 to 5, which it says, "More than that, we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God and His love has poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us." Right? This is, of course, Paul speaking to Romans, but why I use that specific verse is that a lot of times people often ask the question, what am I supposed to get from hurt? Why am I going through all this hurt? Because oftentimes the hurt has a lesson behind it for you to grow from. And I think too many times when we think about hurt, we think that, hurt is just a negative thing. We have to avoid hurt. We have to avoid this, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not saying, like I said before, go looking for hurt. I'm never going to tell that to a person. But hurt is an unexpected factor in order for your development. And the reason why it's necessary for your development is because there's always a lesson behind the hurt as to why you have to go through it. There's always a lesson behind the hurt which informs you of why you have to endure what you're enduring, why you have to push through the fight, why you have to push through the situation, because there's often an end resolution to the situation or that hurt that's going to really propel you to your next level. And that in those lessons that you get from the hurt, it teaches you how to possibly value self, how to value others, value family, value friends, and value all it is that is within you. In my 26 years of living, I have experienced hurt. I've had experienced people who've talked bad about me, people who treated me badly, people who've had certain things to say about me and whatever it is, so on and so forth. Yeah, I've been hurt. Long story short, I had to learn in dealing with certain people that there's always a lesson behind dealing with hurt. We have to go through the hurt that is around us, and we have to know exactly what's taking place for us to really become all it is that we need to be. Remembering that hurt builds us is similar to how when you're working out a muscle, it hurts when you begin working out, but as you keep on working out, that hurting feeling that you feel in your body, and let me be clear, I'm not saying go looking to hurt yourself in the gym or working when you're working out to look to hurt yourself, but that hurting feeling is possibly a muscle growing, a muscle developing. Though it hurts now, it looks bigger later, it looks better later, it makes you look and feel better down in the long run. So I think it's important to really understand the importance of what it is hurt is necessary for. Hurt is necessary to build you. Hurt is necessary in order for you to learn. And if you haven't been hurt, certain things you just don't understand until you've actually been through it. Certain things you don't really understand until you've actually been hurt. So the second point is forgive people. Forgive them. I know we hear this being said so many times, and some people, we're so quick to cancel people, we're so quick to throw people away, so on and so forth. Listen, I'm not saying go get the person back, I'm not saying go be friends with them all over again, no. But what I will say is forgive them. Forgiveness, it's very, very liberating. And like I always hear people say, and as I've told people, forgiveness is never for them, it's for you. It's for peace of mind. It's for character development. It's for growth. And so when you're sitting here trying to hold on to what people might have said or done, you're not putting yourself in a position of development. You're putting yourself in a position for failure. So you have to let go of the person who did you wrong and just move on to the next thing that's good for you. So the 2 verses I have in mind for you are Matthew chapter 6 verse 14, which it says, "For if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you." Matthew 5 verse 44, which it says, "But I say to you, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you." A lot of people sit there and, when they hear this, they be like, "Oh, I don't know how, this can be said. Why should we have to pray for those who did us wrong? Why do we have to wish good on those?" Because the fact of the matter is, as I told people, if you're looking to hurt other people, if you're looking to make others feel bad, if you're looking to really move on in life, you got to be willing to forgive people. You can't be quick to seek revenge on somebody, because as I may have expressed or explained before, trying to hurt somebody, all it leads to is everybody getting hurt. That's all it leads to, honestly. And so when I say forgive, you want to forgive because it's necessary for your development. It's necessary for your growth. It's necessary for you to become all it is that you need to be. And trying to hold on to, unforgiveness, it only makes you sick. And I'm not speaking just in a metaphorical sense. I'm also speaking in a physical sense. I can't tell you how many times I've come across people who have gotten sick because they want to hold on to what a person did 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago. And I'm not saying hurt is easy to overcome. We all have to deal with hurt. We all have to go through situations where, someone has done us, such in poor regard, and that we have to really consider, okay, how do we really work through what we are dealing with right here and now? And so what I will say is this: I think it's important to really understand that, as Christians, nothing is ever easy. And as Christians, it is not to say that as Christians we don't go through nothing. As Christians, we don't deal with situations. We don't deal with, frustration. We don't get angry. We don't deal with hurt. We don't go through, depression. We don't go through frustration. We all have gone through it. We all have dealt with difficult situations, difficult problems, difficult, circumstances. And what I will say to that is this: when you learn to forgive, you're teaching yourself freedom. When you learn to forgive, you're teaching yourself how to build. When you learn to forgive, you also teach yourself higher levels of thinking, higher levels of development. And so when I say forgive, like I said, it's never for the other person. It's for you. It gives you peace of mind. It lets you become all that you need to become. It lets you grow. It lets you do every single thing that you need to do in order for you to be your best self. Last point: do not bicker about the past, or don't keep bringing up the past. Right? The verse I have for that is 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 23, which it says, "But avoid foolish and unlearned debates, knowing that they create strife." Now, particularly why I use this particular verse is because sometimes we're going to deal with people who have hurt us and don't really see that they have hurt us, or they have done certain things and they don't realize how that thing may have affected us. Sometimes when you're dealing with people who have hurt you, the best thing for you to do is to really move on. And I'm not saying that's going to be easy. I'm not saying that doesn't come with difficulty. Sometimes the hurt is so deep it requires literally time. And I will say that, dealing with, certain circumstances where I've been hurt and, dealing with certain circumstances, I had to learn how to let go, because holding on to those situations was metaphorically choking me. It was making me sick. It was making me uncomfortable. It was putting me in a place where I could not really see all the good and all the things that were around me. And so I had to develop a mindset to say, you know what, despite the circumstance, despite the situation, it was important for me to learn to let go, because if I had not learned to let go, I wouldn't get to where I am. I said that before. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Oh well. Don't sit there and argue with people who do what they do. Some acknowledge it, some don't. And then you want to rehash it because you feel like you're unresolved. Don't do that. Once you see a person's pattern or a person's character, you see what they're doing, how they're doing it, when they're doing it. Don't focus on trying to fix the situation. We have to talk it out. No. Sometimes some people who have done what they've done or they've said what they've said, the best thing you can do for you, let it go. Don't argue. Don't waste your time. Don't raise your voice. Don't yell. Don't scream. Just say, I'm going to move on from me. And some people, the only reason why they do what they do is because, like I mentioned in the previous video, they want to invoke a response. At that point, I think it's important to really see that, not going over the past over and over again and bickering with people, it doesn't build you. And when we're talking about working through hurt, that is one of the things you don't want to do, because that means you're trying to replay what hurt you. You trying to replay how somebody did you wrong, how somebody did you this, how somebody did you that. Don't do that to yourself. When you try to rehash or replay what you're dealing with or what has happened to you over and over and over in your head, or with a person or with a certain situation, what you're doing, you're hurting yourself. Stop that. Take it from one person who used to do that to you. Stop that. Because if you don't learn how to work past what it is that you're dealing with in that situation, you're gonna be doomed to repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. Don't do that to yourself. Focus on what is best for you, which is, I want to grow, I want to become, I want to develop. And so in order for me to do that, I gotta let go. I gotta let the person who did me wrong go. I gotta let go of that family member who did me wrong go. I gotta let go of that situation that put me in so much hurt go. Right? So one thing in all my years, and as I've learned through time, every person, especially when you're working through hurt, every person needs time. Give yourself time. Despite whatever happened, despite the circumstances, despite what might have taken place, it's important to give yourself time to work through it. One other technique I would also explain to people, especially when you're working through hurt, let the feelings flow. Let the memories flow. Don't hold them in. Let them flow. And when I say flow, I mean, yes, we see it. Yes, we learn. Yes, we understand what took place and how it took place. But also, when I say flow, you're taking from it what lessons are there, what situation took place, what frustration were you dealing with, what was also a contributing factor for that hurt that actually allowed you to be at the point where you are now. Give yourself time. Hurt, especially when you're dealing with it and you're working through it, is never an overnight process. For some people, it's miraculous, great, good. But for those of you who need time, be patient with yourself and give yourself time. Take your time to work on, the emotions. Take your time to work on the mental. Take your time to work on you. Give yourself time. Nothing's resolved within a moment. Give yourself time to work through it and let God do the rest. So, if this video was an encouragement, if you want to see more content, by all means, please like, share, comment, pass on the message. Let someone know what's going on this page, alright? Have an awesome day. See you guys next time.